It's everywhere. I mean, the word's out.
If that's true, the word has allowed 2 Jefferson Parish politicians to eat out a third of last year without spending a penny out of their own bank account.
This is a massive, massive practice of real expense.
For Jefferson Parish District Attorney Paul Connick, the real expense in 2013 totaled $19,000. Connick ate out on his campaign 126 times. On Saturday, March 2nd, he spent nearly $1,000 for a meal at La Forêt. In fact, 25% of Connick's spending on meals came on weekends, like a Sunday in August of last year when he reported spending $640 on campaign workers and supporters at La Provence restaurant on the North Shore. 21% of his spending on food came on Fridays, like a Friday last October at Clancy's restaurant in Uptown New Orleans. The JP District Attorney charged his campaign $771 for the meal. On Memorial Day last year, Connick's campaign records show he enjoyed Vietnamese food twice. That day, he reported spending $63 on workers and supporters at Faux Bistro in New Orleans. Then another $63 the same day, Memorial Day, at Faux Tau Bay in Gretna. Jefferson Parish Councilman Ben Zahn didn't have meals as pricey as Connick, but he did eat out more on his campaign supporters 159 times, nearly half of last year. Zahn's meals range from New Orleans hamburger and seafood to Copeland's, P.F. Chang's to Pacino's, Starbucks to La Madeleine. In 1 month, April, Zahn ate out on his campaign supporters 23 different times. In May, 22.
It's turned into these, sort of their own private slush fund that they can use for whatever they want, and it supports their lifestyle. It doesn't really support their candidacy for any office.
LSU professor Bob Mann spent decades in politics, working for the late Senator Russell Long and former Governor Kathleen Blanco. Mann says the dining on campaign funds has gotten out of control.
Politicians never take their rank and file constituents to Ruth's Chris. If they're going to feed them, it's a big jambalaya dinner with Coke and a beer keg.
All total, Louisiana politicians' food and meal purchases in 2013 topped $1 million.
Once the money's in the account, that it's being spent for improper expenses. It's being used to support the lifestyle of the candidate, not the political activities of the candidate.
And yes, the spending last year went well beyond food.
The word is out. Everybody now knows how to do it.
The fact is, the language is so vague, much of what you're about to hear is likely not against the law. Jefferson Parish Judge Roy Cassio bought 20 different gifts at Dillard's. His campaign bought birthday, shower, and graduation gifts. Earlier this year, we detailed how some politicians like to buy LSU tickets with their campaign funds, and many did again. But Baton Rouge Councilman Ryan Heck had a constituent meeting in Tiger Stadium at the concession stand and charged his campaign $8. St. Landry Parish District Attorney Earl Taylor charged his campaign $35 for Dandy Don LSU Sports Services. That's a popular website LSU fans use to get Tiger news.
The one that is so huge now, that is new, is anything relative to LSU football. And I'm telling you, if anybody has any need whatsoever to figure out who they need to look more closely at, that is the new trigger.
Elliot Stonecipher is a longtime political analyst based in Shreveport. As he reviewed our findings, at times all he could do was shake his head.
It is a separate source of income. It's lucrative for some of these folks, and there is no downside risk.
That's because Stonecipher says the law is vague on what campaign funds can be used for. But he adds that the ethics board is toothless, and if a politician does cross the legal line, it's unlikely a district attorney would prosecute a fellow elected official.
Why isn't the IRS on top of this? That's where people like me and politicians who are straight up are constantly scratching their heads.
In some cases, Stonecipher says politicians could be sidestepping the IRS by spending personal money out of their campaign account.
The issue, if none other, is that the money these legislators get and use this way is not taxed.
In the summer of 2012, Harry Morrell retired as St. Charles Parish's district attorney. Right now, he collects a state pension, $146,000 a year. But still, last year, Morrell spent some of his leftover campaign money, including $9,200 on LSU tickets.
How does a retired DA justify spending $9,200 in LSU tickets?
You can't. You can't.
The campaign finance law allows politicians to spend money on running for office or anything related to their current elected office.
A lot of the expenditures are not directly related to winning elections. They're related to supporting the lifestyles of the candidates and not the election activities of the candidates.
Former Public Service Commissioner Dale Satigue is out of politics now, but he wrote 12 separate checks to Clico last year for electricity at his camp in Rapides Parish. Satigue told us the camp is used for political suppers, political gatherings, lodging for those that travel, plus adults with young children to come hunt and spend weekends. State Senator Elbert Guillory from Opelousas gave a donation in dues to Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. New Orleans Civil Court Judge Piper Griffin donated $3,000 to St. Catherine Drexel School. She sits on the school board. Griffin wrote us she was unfamiliar with any prohibition of donating campaign funds to a nonprofit on which I sit on the board. Baton Rouge Mayor Kip Holden bought a $1,000 parking pass for Southern football games and paid dues to the prestigious Camelot Club. Holden told us he used both to entertain. Jefferson Parish School Board member Ray St. Pierre spent campaign money on dues at Timberlane Country Club. Ascension Parish Assessor Mert Smiley and State Senator Conrad Appel used campaign money for a Ducks Unlimited membership. Both say it allows them to meet campaign supporters. On Mardi Gras last year, Lafitte Mayor Tim Kerner booked a room at the downtown Hilton Hotel and paid for it with campaign money. Kerner also bought gifts for constituents at Walgreens and Walmart. Jefferson Parish Councilman Elton Lagasse used campaign money for his dues to Argus. The cost $9,500. Lagasse said he was able to promote himself in his public service. Kenner Mayor Mike Yenny paid $5,700 for framings, 17 different times. In fact, since elected to office in 2010, Yenny's campaign has paid for 58 different framings, costing $25,000. Yenny told us the Ethics Board okayed the spending and said the framings were of his official portraits for city offices, as well as proclamations and keys to the city. Many of the charges had vague descriptions, no real explanation of why it was campaign-related. Like in December of last year, Orleans Criminal Court Judge Camille Burris bought dinner for constituents at Ruth's Chris. It cost $1,200. And at last year's Essence Fest, State Senator Ed Murray spent $2,400 at Morton's Steakhouse. Not on steaks, appetizers, even dessert. The $2,400 went for beverages for Essence Festival weekend.
No one demands that they justify who was there and who were these people and what was the purpose of it.
And according to a longtime political analyst, no one is really trying to stop a practice that for some politicians has been going on for decades.
People of that generation politically simply don't understand why the state or anybody else has a right to talk to them about what they do with campaign contributions.